lower middle class, and not too big and not too little. Without realizing it at the time, these descriptors afforded me tremendous advantages. I moved through my childhood feeling relatively safe, relatively normal, and quite oblivious to the idea that it could be any other way. My first conscious thoughts concerning my body status occurred during my teen years, when I began to experience doubts about my looks. I understood my face to be homely, and I began to realize that as a girl, I could be preyed upon, necessitating a physical conservatism involving how I dressed, where I went, and how I moved and gestured. In college, I had an African-American boyfriend, and my pale skin and straight hair were regularly teased by his black friends, sometimes in fun, sometimes not. I always felt physically safe with him, but I directly witnessed his lack of physical safety in most public spaces, both as a young black male and as a young black male with a white woman on his arm. Like every woman I know, I have been sexually harassed and exploited by men of all ages and races my whole life. From my teen years onward, I have experienced my body as both political and personal, as both mine and not mine. This realization so moved me that I have devoted my life to the study of the body, as an academic, a researcher, a therapist, and a writer. I have also devoted myself to dancing, to giving and receiving massages, and to valuing my physicality as much as I can. I am now 65 years old, still white, still well-educated, still relatively able-bodied, and still middle class. These socio-cultural locations still afford me tremendous privileges. I have also come to see that I am bisexual, that my decision to marry my husband was not about gender, but about love, and that my youthful sexual experiments were not to be dismissed, but included. I still struggle with my homely face. Now I add in my struggles with size, because I weigh more than the norm says I should. It amazes me how much shame I feel about my size, given how long I have been at the business of examining internalized body biases. In public, I regularly experience a kind of somatic invisibility that older people report, a sense that we elders are not accounted for or physically appreciated. Writing for and co-editing this book has afforded me many opportunities to keep challenging myself, both from the standpoint of my body privileges and my locations as marginalized. I have remembered stories not thought of in decades, cringing at my cluelessness and grinning at my pushbacks. It all jumbles around in my large, white, older, creaky female body. At this point in my life, my political and my personal bodies feel like allies to each other. I personally know most of the authors in this book. What I mean is that their bodies are quite literally palpable and real to me. Most of them have endured and still endure situations, both large and small, that make any complacency or ignorance on my part a kind of sin. Yet for folks like me, feeling guilt or shame is a cop-out, a comfortable indulgence among the privileged. The body itself holds the answers to what we can do next. We breathe, we listen to our sensations, and we move with what we feel. We do this as a personal act of dignity and a socio-political activism. What these authors show us is that in the complex geography of the body, we all get lost, and we can all be found. Why this book? Throughout the course of this project, we extensively examined how our locations affected our writing for and editing of this book. Of particular significance was our shared whiteness, able-bodiedness, educational histories, and female cisgendered identities. We questioned whether we should do this project. We talked about well-meaning white lady syndrome. We considered the irony of two cis white women asking people of color and gender non-conforming folks to share their stories of oppression with us.